Well, welcome everyone. I'll let you all get settled a little bit, and we're perfectly punctual, so love it. Good for us. Good start. Hi everyone. My name is Devin. I am the Director of Customer Success here at Clear Membercy. We're really excited that all of you could join us today, and thank you for those that submitted the very thoughtful questions in advance. We're thrilled to go through all of them. Before we get started with introductions, I did just have a few quick ground rules for us. First, there is the chat feature, so feel free as we're going through things to add additional questions. We'll do our best to cover them all at the end, or if not, we'll definitely reach out after the event and make sure that they're addressed. In that chat, please keep comments respectful. We really do want to create a space that is helpful and productive here for everyone. And then lastly, we know that you're going to want to revisit this over and over again, so the recording will be shared out within 24 hours. Again, just to kick it off with introductions, I'm Devin. I'll be your moderator today. I come from a little over 7 years of customer success experience, and before joining Clear Membercy, I came from the vet med space. That's really where started my passion and really obsession for the patient-centered tech solutions started. So focusing with our customers to look at loyalty and compliance and really driving their growth through those things. So enough about me. Dr. Craig, you want to share a bit of an introduction?
Sure. Well, it's good to be here, Devin. Nice to see you again, Dave. I am a third generation dentist, so it's a genetic abnormality that's been passed down from my grandfather all the way to me. I founded, along with my father, a dental practice here in Delray Beach, Florida, and I'm the co-founder of the Bulletproof Dental Practice, which we have 400 episodes of podcasts and 2 books, one new one on the way.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Craig. Dave, want to go ahead and share your introduction?
Yeah, and thanks for having me, and welcome everybody, and great to see you as well, Craig. So I came at it from a different angle. I actually came from the tech world. I was actually an engineer at Northrop Grumman for a while. We worked on fighter aircraft and drones, surveillance systems and targeting systems. Spent about 7 years at Microsoft. Started a company that did wearable devices, and we ended up being acquired back in 2016. And so my entry into dental care, besides going to the dentist every 6 months, was I ran into somebody who was building up a small DSO who had about 6 offices. Just started talking to him just randomly, and he started explaining to me some of the issues that I now have become very intimate with around how hard it was to get patients into the office, and then how difficult it was to deal with insurance. So that was news to me at the time, and so I decided to dig in, spend about 12 months doing market research, and then founded Clear. And then Clear, we built up to a certain point, and we merged with another company called Membersy about 1 year ago. We just actually crossed our 1-year anniversary. And so I'm now CEO of Clear Membersy. We will be rebranding, so we will not be sticking with that long, hard to pronounce double words, but that is just thrilled to be here and look forward to it.
Great. Thank you so much. We have a lot of experience here. So let's get into the myths. Again, we've been able to break them down into 5 categories. So we'll go through them one by one. First being membership can't benefit my practice. A little bit more in depth of the questions that were asked, really focus on those cash paying customers, those that are fee for service. Dr. Craig, I'm really curious, as you were thinking about bringing on a membership plan in the first place, what was the challenge or opportunity that you were hoping to address when you were considering bringing one on?
It's a great question. So what the average patient that I have dealt with in my experience thinks is that they cannot get dental care because they don't have insurance. So we've all gone to the pharmacy, at least, I have many times, where I pick up a prescription drug, maybe for my sick child or something like that, and they tell me it's $450. I gasp and I say, "Hey, will this insurance card help me?" And I hand it to the CVS person, and they're like, "Yeah, it'll actually be $3.25. So we're being trained by the insurance industry that without coverage, you are going to face exorbitant expenses. So I have wealthy patients that actually say to me, "I don't have dental insurance, so I guess I really I haven't gone for my cleanings lately." So I knew that there was something that we had to approach our patients with that would allow them to know that they could have regular dental care for a fixed low monthly cost. So I just didn't want to fight, to try to convince people that dental care was going to be less than their cell phone bill. I just wanted to create an easy button where patients can elect to see our office, even if they don't have insurance, and feel that they have a monthly payment plan or a monthly subscription that they can access our office and have other benefits in a seamless fashion. So that's what the impetus for me was.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And Dave, building off of the experience that Dr. Craig has had, I'm curious from the practices that you've talked to that they're in network or fee for service, what does a well-designed membership plan create value in both of those models? How does?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And we get this question all the time. And Craig really nailed it. And I can look at it from a different perspective, but it aligns exactly to Craig's experience. So we actually did a ton of market research before founding Clear, and then we see it every day, right, when we execute our business model. So what we learned prior to starting Clear was that uninsured patients just didn't come into the office. And when we interviewed them, we did like one-on-one interviews. We did focus groups where we'd bring like 7 or 8 patients in at a time, uninsured patients. We also did a national survey, and it was related. Like some people say it's because they're scared to come to the dentist, right? Or it could be I don't have time or whatever. The number 1 and number 2 answers by far, I mean, it wasn't even close, was that the reason they didn't go to the dentist is because they didn't have coverage and they thought it would cost too much. And I mean, these are magnitudes of order larger of an issue for a patient than things like I'm afraid or I don't want pain or I don't like location-wise it's an issue. So that was I don't have coverage and I don't I think it's gonna be too expensive. When you start asking them questions about that and trying to understand what's the underlying driver of that and why do they feel like they can't go, it's because they don't know how much things cost and they assume it's going to cost a lot. So I think we'd all agree pricing in the dental world is pretty opaque and they just have trouble understanding what it's going to cost them. So, and then you would take that one step further. So first they would guess it was way too expensive. And then you would say, okay, so what would coverage do for you? And they would say, it would basically be like an ally for me, like somebody who knows, something about pricing and can actually get me a good price and I'll trust that. Okay. So it was a combination. They were totally linked together that I don't have coverage and, I don't have a knowledge, right, of how to figure out pricing. And that kept them away. And now getting to the benefit, right, of a membership plan. So what it does is it provides that coverage they're looking for. And we'll get into data down the road, but provides the coverage they're looking for. So they come in, they accept treatment, they're loyal. It addresses that core issue and it gets your uninsured or cash pay patients in the office much more often than if they don't have coverage.
Dave, let me just double click on what you're saying, because I bet you there's a dentist out there that's on this call right now that says, well, I'm in a very affluent area. I practice in Manhattan. My patients don't actually care. So I just want people to know my zip code happens to be a very difficult zip code. We are number 1 in malpractice lawsuits, or amongst the top of malpractice lawsuits, and also affluence. So I had my own anecdotal research where wealthy patients, people showing up in very expensive cars, said, I don't go because I don't have insurance. I'm like, well, a cleaning is like $90. Your payment on your car is probably $90 a day. So it's not, I just want to speak to those people that are hearing what you're saying, Dave, and saying, well, I practice in an affluent area. We have a lot of fee for service patients. We don't need that.
Yeah.
And that's just not true.
Absolutely. We see this across demographics, zip codes, wherever, right? Rural or city, it doesn't matter. It works. And it's just the basic sort of element, and we all have them, is subscriptions, right? If you want to get access to something, you have a subscription to it, you use it. It's that simple.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, and I know I'm foreshadowing here, but one of the biggest benefits for me was when you're locked in with an arrangement where you have a membership plan, you're not shopping for a dentist. So if you don't have a membership plan, at every end of every visit, you're evaluating, should I go back? Was that a good service? Should I take this coupon or this thing or this advertisement? Should I go follow this person? When you're locked in at a gym membership, you're not shopping for a gym. I know I probably stole something from a further slide, but I'll let Devin take control of me. Rein me in, Devin.
No, it's okay. You guys were on a roll, and you were hitting the points that I was about to. But again, just to address that really head on, if they're already paying cash, what's the value of the membership plan? Dave, you've seen financial results across thousands of practices. When it comes to performance and profitability, can you share any recent data points that really highlight where that membership plans are making the biggest impact?
Yeah, definitely. So as Devlin said, we've been integrating with practice management systems for a couple of years now. And so we have a ton of data that we can look at, and we analyze this data. So we can tell you to the 10th of a number, what like number of visits, like how much treatment's accepted, things like that. So let me just give you sort of high level thing and what we see the impact is of a membership plan. There's really 3 areas and a 4th area, if you're willing to invest, where you can drive a benefit and results. One is your existing cash pay patients will come in. The numbers are they'll come in about twice as often. They'll accept about twice the amount of care, and they'll drive about twice the production if they're on a membership plan versus they're not. And it's tried and true. This is so I can't tell you how consistent it is office to office. It's incredibly consistent that we see that impact. So that's obviously a huge part. That in addition, those patients, those active uninsured patients, if they don't have a membership plan, on average, they no-show about 15% of the time. That's the average on the platform. If they have a membership plan, the no-show rate drops to 5%. It's 1/3, the no-show rate of a cash pay patient. So you not just get somebody coming in more often, you're getting somebody coming in more often and more reliably, which we all know the cost of a no-show is pretty dramatic. So your active uninsured patients, huge impact. The second group is your dormant patients. And so we actually have the capability to market to your dormant patients when we integrate with the practice management system. And about 5 or 10% of those dormant patients will come back to your office if you market your membership plan to them. And obviously, and just so you know, definition of a dormant patient in our system is they haven't been in your office. They were in your office at one point and they haven't come back in at least 18 months. The average is about 1,500 of those patients in a practice. And so you got a big opportunity, right, to drive. They're basically like new patients walking in your door. And then, so that's the second area. The third area is your new patients. And Craig, you sort of touched on this, is if you don't sell them a membership plan and they're cash pay, on average, this is just average, when I say it's each office out there, but is only about 40% of them ever come back to the office. If you sign them up for a membership plan, over 90% of them will come back. So you more than double your retention rate on your new patients. And obviously that's a huge value prop. So those 3 core value props we see day in and day out. We have all the data. We can show you, like I said, it's a very detailed level, the impact we have. The 4th area that some offices see the benefit of is they actually will, go out and market their membership plan. They'll go to retirement communities. They'll go to just community events. They'll go to local employers. If you do that, you'll see a big uptick on new patients as well. So new patients are very interested in this, and leading with that is not a bad way to, make it, they know what dental care is. They want dental care. It's the accessibility of dental care that the membership plan addresses.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. Nothing like some cold hard data to take down a myth. So I think we can sufficiently say that we've addressed this one. Moving on, our next myth that we're going to address, and definitely comes up often, membership breaks the rules. Is it legal to offer the membership plan? Can insurance companies prevent me from offering a membership plan? This concept comes up quite a bit. So Dave, first, can we clarify that membership plans are in fact legal and insurance companies cannot interfere with offering? And beyond that, what are some key compliance considerations that practices should be aware of?
Yes, so they absolutely are legal if you have the proper licensing and also some processes in place. So let me give you a quick overview from a compliance perspective, and then I'll get into the insurance sort of agreements and some of the questions we get there. But from a licensing perspective, 35 of the 50 states have regulations. And I won't get into all the details, but they're called DMPO or DPO regulations. And 25 of those 35 actually require you to get a license. They typically, you got to, purchase a bond, you got to register, you got to do a bunch of stuff, but you got to get licensed to practice in the state. And so that's a big deal, right? And you got to get that licensing in order to execute. California has something special called Knox-Keene. which is an insanely complicated healthcare regulation that you have to get licensed for. So if you're practicing in California, you also need an oxygen license. At national level, you need to be HIPAA compliant. You need to be PCI compliant. From a security perspective, we highly recommend you be SOC 2 compliant, just a security protocol. And so there's lots to do there, right? And you just got to make sure that you tick the boxes on all those things. Obviously, our platform is compliant across all of that. We have a chief compliance officer who manages all that, maintains, relationships with the regulator. So we take care of that. You don't need to worry about it. But if you're going to go do it on your own, just make sure you understand federal, state regulations. And then as far as the insurance companies are concerned, so there used to be, by the way, this has died down a bit. I think people have actually started to learn. There used to be a ton of concern about the insurance companies, and my agreements basically keep me from offering a membership plan. That's a complete myth. I've read a lot of insurance agreements, and sort of they fall into sort of probably, I don't know, maybe two categories. One is that there's just a statement in your agreement that says that if you offer a lower fee than what is in the reimbursement schedule of an insurer, you need to provide that fee to the insurer. All right. And I can guarantee you, and Devin and Craig, you can jump in, like, based on your experience, we will never put a fee into your membership plan that's lower than an insurer reimbursement. Like, it just doesn't happen. So by design, you just stay away from that. But probably, just as important, I've read a ton of agreements. I would say 90% of them don't even have that clause in the agreements. It goes back a while when they used to have those clauses. A lot of those clauses have come out. But so the net is I would recommend you read your agreements and see if that clause is in there. And then if it is in there, there's a chance it's in there. But if that is in there, then you just never design a membership plan with a fee lower than what your insurance reimbursements are.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Dr. Craig, again, as you were considering and evaluating bringing on a plan, were there any compliance concerns that you were thinking of, or anything else to add here as in your experiences?
Well, I knew enough to know that I didn't want to do it on my own because I'm aware of the things that Dave was just saying. And I just didn't want to go through it on my own. And speaking of which, I just kind of want to double click on what Dave said just a moment ago about, patients and inactive patients. To acquire new patients is extremely costly. We do a new patient visit is not a necessarily very productive appointment in most practices. In our practice, it includes a scan, a wellness scan, like a digital scan, and a series of photography. And it's just a very long, arduous process to take in a new patient. And then Dave also touched on something for your inactive patients, which he also defined from the same language that I do. 18 months and 1 day, studies show that patient is not coming back to your office. The problem is most dentists don't know what's called their net patient growth, which is the amount of new patients they get. We all know that. Oh, I'm so excited. I get 50 new patients a month or 30 new patients a month. But how many in that same month became 18 months and 1 day inactive? That number, the new patients minus the inactive patients, is called your net patient growth. So if you're proud of yourself because you're getting 20 a month, but 26 became 18 months and 1 day inactive, your net patient growth is -6. And people don't know that. So people may hear what Dave said, we get so many new patients, we don't even need to worry about these inactive people. Who cares? We're killing it. So you just need to know these numbers. And it's so important that you have a wide open front door, but not a hole in the back door.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Craig. That's a great call out. Wonderful. Well, I think this was an easy one, an easy myth to break. We all agree that they are totally legal, but having a provider like Clear Membercy definitely gives you some peace of mind with compliance. Great. Moving right along, any solution can do the job well. What makes one membership plan solution more effective than another? Do patient payments have to be monthly or annual? Can they do both? How do I handle plan setup for a second or third office? Is it difficult to scale? These are all great questions that are really getting to the heart of the ease in which Clear Membercy can really help support managing the plan. So Dr. Craig, when evaluating the different membership plan solutions, what features or capabilities were most important to you in making that decision?
For me, it was really just one. It was user interface for the patient. So I wanted to be seamless. I wanted to be something that looked professional. I was working with another company for quite a while, and it literally looked like it was a poor user interface. The other thing is I dreamt, because I was on these membership plans long before I ever met Dave, unfortunately, and I dreamt for something that could do it all for me. So report back how many cleanings, because if you're going to get 2 cleanings a year on your membership, how would I be able to track all this? How would I be able to know if someone's delinquent? Would we have to have a separate person doing all this? And unfortunately, the original membership plan I was going with, we did have to do all this. So all they were really providing for me was a payment solution, and they didn't do anything. But it was still valuable for me because I didn't want to take the damn payment myself. So I wanted a user interface for the patient and for our practice that was seamless.
That's great. And I love calling out kind of the benefit tracking and the status component. Dave, across the practices you've supported, what product features make one membership solution stand out over the other, regardless if you're 1 location or 100?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I'll come back to actually some of the specific questions that people asked there. But just at a high level, I agree 100% with Craig. And actually, patient experience was top of mind for me. So things like a professional website, right? Professional enrollment process, a portal that they can go to. The communication coming from the system is professional, right? All that incredibly important. That's a center of the product. Other things to consider, though, is having some expertise, right, to help you design the plan and align it to your office and to your patients and to your treatment philosophy is also really, really important. And we've worked with over 20,000 dentists and have a ton of experience, so we can provide some really good guidance on what is going to be successful, and then help implement it. And provide things like, things you want to consider is like, how does your team get trained? How does your office get support if they have a question? Let's say new office team members come on board. How do they get trained, right? And make sure they're getting up to speed. And then your patients are going to have questions. So how do you support your patients around that? So even outside of product and solution is just support and expertise and implementation and training, both from a office perspective and in a patient perspective. And then sort of doubling down on some of the things Craig was talking about, like in some of the features. So we offer 2 baseline sort of high level sort of packages. One is non-integrated with your PMS, and that provides things like baseline automation of like recurring payments, renewals, patient communication, right? Ability to track memberships, ability to track subscription payments, your deposits, like if a patient cancels or they're not compliant from a payment perspective. Renewals, making renewals automated renewals, so nobody needs to worry about that, right? So taking a lot of that baseline sort of management of the membership plan and moving it from your team into a platform. We get a lot of great feedback from offices about how that just makes it a lot easier for them to focus on their job versus managing the membership plan. And then if you want to take it to the next level, then you integrate into your practice management system. And these are the features that sort of are I consider them sort of the wow features. Are the ones that the office staff and anybody who's, let's say, managing a DSO at a regional or national level absolutely love, which is things like it will what we call auto enrollment. So instead of somebody having to manually enter somebody's patient data into our system to activate a subscription, we'll just pull that data from your PMS and fill out all the fields we need. And so the person at the front desk doesn't need to do anything. Benefit tracking. So Craig was mentioning, let's say you offer 2 cleanings, for free inside your membership plan. Who's tracking that, right? Well, with integration, we can track it. We can see they had a cleaning during the time period of their membership, and we can show you inside our system they use 1 cleaning, they have 1 cleaning remaining. So if they walk in the office, that cleaning is provided under the subscription. We can even post payments. So these subscription payments are automatically deposited into your bank account, but if you want to integrate, we can actually post that payment into your practice management system, so somebody doesn't need to manually enter a payment posting. And then one sort of cool thing coming up, we actually are in pilot right now and beta on this, is we actually created something that will sit on top of your practice management system. that enables the office to actually manage your membership plan as if they're in PMS. And so they don't need to go to a separate system. It just looks and feels just like they're sitting in PMS. So, and the net of all that is you automate it for the office team so they can focus on providing care versus managing a membership plan. I also mentioned before, like marketing to dormant patients. You can activate that if you want. You can activate the ability to market to your active uninsured patients. And we see a nice uptick in when you turn those features on, we see a 25 to 50% increase in membership because the patients learn about the membership plan at home before they come into your office. So they're warmed up when they walk in the door to make a purchase. The dormant patients learn that they can get access to care, with a financial sort of setup that they can afford. So they come in. And then the performance tracking gets really cool under integration. So obviously, without integration, we can do things like look at your, how many subscriptions have been activated, are active, your payments that are going into your bank account. We can track all kinds of different things. But if we integrate, we can now tie it to ROI. So we can actually show you, like I talked about doubling visits or doubling treatment acceptance, right? We will show you that data. So there's no guessing about the impact the membership plan is having on your practice. Inside our dashboard, we actually show it to you. We will show you, this is what's happening with your cash pay patients who aren't in the membership plan. This is what's happening with your membership plan patients. And also, by the way, we show you what's happening with your insured patients. And you can compare them on visits, treatment acceptance, production. And it's really cool. Like it just shows you right away the impact we're having. And we always say, if you're not seeing the impact, let's have a conversation. It's either been designed wrong or it's being managed wrong. We can always make changes to it, but we want to make sure you're getting the ROI. So, I guess there is this idea that you can do this with a spreadsheet, right? Or you can do it, somehow hacking inside your PMS. But if you truly want to run a membership, if you truly understand the value of it and the impact it's going to have on the production, the cash pay production of your office, you really want a system to manage all that and make it easy for the front desk, right, to manage it, and also make it easy for you to understand the impact you're having on your practice.
Absolutely. I particularly enjoyed your call out of our customer experience teams. The features that we have and the pilot itself has been really exciting to hear the feedback from our customers. But I feel from implementation with customer success, from support, I think that really is priceless to have that subject matter expert access to. So thank you for calling those out.
Just so you know, too, I wanted to add one thing as well. Before you had all these features, we were doing it on spreadsheets. It was so valuable to us. We wanted to know, what does a clear patient accept? What is, Acme insurance patient? What is fee for service? So we did the exhaustive spreadsheet analysis. It is so difficult, but we actually were curious and we did it ourselves, and we found the same data, to be true even before you were offering this as a service for others.
And Craig, just sort of going off on a little bit of a tangent. So a couple really interesting data points people like to hear from us or see from us. One is a lot of people say, why would I give a discount, right, to a patient, a cash pay patient, right? I'll just get full fee from them, right? We've already talked about the increase in visits and treatment acceptance, and that in itself is a no-brainer. But we actually looked at the discounts provided to cash pay patients outside of membership plans. So everybody gives day of treatment discount, right? And it can get out of control for some offices. The average on our platform for all the practices we integrated with, the average discount they provided day of treatment to cash pay patients was 14%. It was a 14% discount. So it's somewhere between 10 and 20, which makes sense, right? That's sort of where everybody lands. The average discount in a membership plan on our platform is 15%. So you're basically offering the same discount to get double the visits and double the treatment. It's really interesting. Most people don't factor that in, that they are providing discounts to the cash pay patients.
Yeah.
And then one more stat is we also look at the discounts that insurers are providing. And so I don't know if this is a surprise or not, but the average discount off of UCR under a PPO or under insurance is 38%. Is what practices are providing.
It's amazing, by the way. I work with thousands of dentists and office managers around the country, and one of the biggest complaints that office managers have privately is my doctor is just giving everything away. It's their cousin, it's the coach at their baseball, maybe not their cousin because you have to give your family, but it's the coach at the little league, it's the guy who serves me pizza. With a membership plan, it's like it's already built in. So you don't feel this sense of guilt or whatever is motivating these dentists to give these discounts. It's already there. Like, oh, congratulations, you have a membership plan that entitles you to X percentage off. So it kind of surmounts the conversation. It doesn't necessarily have to happen. It's already built in.
Yeah. This is all a great cue up to membership is difficult to manage. I think we've talked a lot about the one-off discounts or the internal time that it takes the front office team. Some of the examples here: do patients have to sign an agreement to join? How is it easily managed? What does day-to-day plan management actually look like in the office? Tracking visits, renewal dates, benefits seems like it would be cumbersome. Dr. Craig, I'd love to hear from you. What do day-to-day operations look like with your plan?
Well, I run a fairly large organization. We're 55 team member and 10 doctors. So I could tell you that Kurt, who handles our memberships, loves the product. He tells me how many people sign up, but I don't have to get in there. But I know if it was difficult, I'd be called in. So again, I'm been practicing 24 years. So back 10 years ago, we were using a membership plan and we had to do all of it. We had to literally, like, when a patient checked in, we had to see if they were paying in current, reach out for our enrollments, track their cleanings. It was so difficult. And the reason why I keep saying that is it was so cumbersome and so difficult and still worth it. So now it's like, with the software and the user interface that you've built, it's like, why would you not have it? I had to do it when it was like the proverbial walking to school both ways and uphill. And we still found it valuable. So now it just got easier and easier. So it's nothing like it used to be.
Yeah. It's great to hear from the customers that join us coming from an in-house plan and that shift for them in their team's experience and the raving about it, not so humbly. Dave, for practices that are worried about the logistics, signups, tracking renewals, what systems or support makes that manageable at scale?
Yeah, so so Craig talked about a few of them, but I'm looking at the questions that were actually submitted. Like does a patient need to sign an agreement? They do. Like from a licensing legal perspective, they need to sign an agreement. You also need to do things like when they're signing up. If you want to put auto renewal on, you got to make them aware of that. They got to check a box, right? You also have to do things like in the portal itself. You have to give them the ability in the front screen. It's a federal law. In the front screen, the ability to opt out of auto renewal. And I can sort of go on and on about like features like that are critical, right? Not just from a usability perspective, but from a legal perspective that you need to have, ironed out, right, when you're offering your membership plan. So Craig talked about like the difficulty of managing the membership plan. And like, let's say you had to go find out who's coming up for renewal, and you had to go out and figure out how do I get their credit card, right, charged again for the next year. What somebody's got to call the patient, right? So then it is all this stuff just from a management perspective makes it incredibly easy for your team, right, to offer the membership plan and be happy to offer it, right, versus creating work for themselves. But there's also a legal component to it that's really important. And I talked about some of the other features, right, in addition to the day in and day out stuff. Like the ability to just see what's going on is incredibly important. You don't want this thing just in the background, not knowing what impact it's having or what results you're getting. And like in a DSO, it gets really complicated, right? So the larger you get, you're going to have a national layer to this, you're regional, you're going to have a local level to it. And you need to make sure that all can roll up, right? And somebody can see what's happening, depending on their view into the business and what they're responsible for. They need to understand the impact they're having, right, within their particular part of the business. So analytics, reporting, dashboards become really important. We call it like communications, life cycle communications to the member, right? A welcome email, right? A hey, hope you're getting value from the membership plan, sort of check in at renewal time. There's parts of this where you want to just be really good as far as communicating to the patient. There's also legal components to the renewal process, and you have to have certain messaging going to them. If a payment fails, right, what do you do about that? Like our system has fallbacks, and it will basically, I won't get into the details, but it's got fallbacks to find another credit card or get the patient to enter another credit card into the system. So there's just sort of layer after layer that you need to think about. and to manage it properly, right, and get the right results, and also keep your team happy. You really need a system that's doing all that, and everybody needs their own view into that system, right, to get the information they need.
Yeah, and I want to add one last thing. If your team is not happy, if it's cumbersome and difficult for them, you won't be able to implement it. So I know there might be dentists thinking that they don't want to spend the money or the time or the resources to have a system. They want to do it themselves. You're not doing it yourself. You're tasking some of your administrative people. Though that time that they have is allocated towards patient care. Anything that can be done offsite, remotely, or through service, leave your team to interact with patients. That's what causes better customer service. So them sitting with a spreadsheet every month and taking time away from the, checking in and managing of patient expectations is really costly. Use your team for patient interaction.
Yeah. I think we've addressed really well the administrative management of the plans. Dr. Craig, I'd be curious too, more so of the managing of the training and how they felt comfortable in knowing when and how to bring up the plan. I'm curious how you found success with that as well.
So it was a bumpy road to success for us because what I was doing was very interesting. I'll admit this was a silly thing for me to do. My original thought, and before I had all the data to know that my patients were accepting more when they were part of Clear Membership than before, is I wouldn't have it front facing. So I was actually hiding it like 7 years ago. I didn't want my patients to know about it because I always thought about, okay, well, I got them for full fee, and now I'm going to show them they can get this discount. Why would I want to do that? And it wasn't till we did our own spreadsheet analysis, because you didn't have the features back then, or maybe it's preceding you guys, to see that our Clear Membership patients are so much more valuable. They accept more treatment. They say yes more. They don't leave. So it was a pivot that I had probably about like 3 years ago. I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, just get it out on the website. No insurance, no problem. Let's put this forward facing. And I was really, unfortunately, the business suffered because of that scarcity mindset. I think it reminds me of gym memberships. The gyms used to be, actually, I think this was maybe you, Dave, you told me this, right? We talked about this many years ago, that gyms used to be pay to play. And people said, well, why don't we do this fixed fee and gyms will only be, $150 a month. And the gym owner's like, well, I can't do that. They'd come every day. And there's a scarcity mindset around a membership plan. And we pivoted and made it forward facing. And that's when our practice really got traction and we had overall success. So what I would recommend is making this part of your it's on my homepage of my website. It's on the it's prominent positioning. I want everyone to know about this, because there's a lot of people that will not tell you why they're not going to choose to come back to your office, or why they didn't choose your office in the first place. If people have membership plans, the patient is going to demand it. So you have to provide that value. I'm a strong believer in making this very front and center.
Thank you, Dr. Craig. I feel like from my experiences with the team, that in itself is the number one myth or thing that we need to address with our customers. So it's great to hear of your experiences.
Yeah, I suffered because of it. So don't do me. Do what they're saying, for sure.
Great. Well, this session has been flying by. We're on our last myth here. Managing an in-house plan is just as effective. I think in some ways we've already addressed this one here or there, but it's an important one. So just a few examples of the questions we received. We already have an in-house plan. How do we get more patients to actually use it? Marketing and promoting a membership plan feels like it would take a lot of time and effort. Why bring in Clear Membership when we could just manage it in-house? Dave, what are the most common reasons in-house plans underperform, and how does automation, marketing, and support change that outcome? Again, things that we've addressed a little bit so far, but I think it's important to hit again.
Yeah, and I'll try to steer away from some of the features and things we talked about, but let me tell you why we see membership plans that have failed. So we have a lot of practices come to us who have had failed membership plans. And so number one reason is poor design. So they're just not designed properly for the office. So it's really important to align the membership plan design to the demographics of your office and also the treatment preferences of your doctors. So if you don't get buy-in from both sides, it's not going to be successful. So for example, like we will do, we have a concept called care plans. So you can have multiple care plans underneath a membership plan. So you might have one care plan that's for children. You might have one care plan that's for perio patients, another one that's for like a standard adult patient, another one for like a VIP, patient who wants to do things like whitening. Like you can design these things to be aligned perfectly to your patient demographics. And that's really important. And if you want to go into like marketing psychology, people like to see themselves in the things they buy. And so if somebody thinks of themselves as a VIP, they want to see a VIP plan, right? And an adult or a parent wants to see that a child's getting the care that a child needs, right? Not just some blanket thing. And so, just design is incredibly important. You also want your doctors and team bought in. So if and I'm just going to throw this out there, I don't want to get into a controversy about fluoride, but some offices believe in fluoride and some don't, right? And so if you have fluoride in it and your office doesn't believe in fluoride, you're not going to have a lot of success selling the membership plan. So aligning treatment preferences and ideals right into it as well. So that's number one, is just design. Second is, and Craig mentioned this like in a very small way, but buy-in from the owner, buy-in from the executives. If you're like in a DSO or a group practice, like you believe in this and you want your team to, market this and sell this. That's incredibly important. If you don't get that buy-in, it just does not filter through the organization and it'll be put on the shelf. And you'll find it like always equated to, I don't know, there's not a lot of these anymore, but when you walk into a doctor's office, you see all those cards like in the back corner on a table somewhere. Like that's where it ends up, right? If somebody isn't actually living and breathing it and believing it. So, executive and or owner buy-in. And then the third one is lack of office buy-in. So the team itself doesn't believe. So let's say even the executives believe, maybe believe is not the right word, but they're not bought in. Maybe it's too cumbersome to manage, right? Maybe it's painful for them to sort of, use the system or do it manually, or they don't understand the value proposition. They haven't gone through training really to understand the value this brings to the patient and to the practice. So just that office team needs to be bought in. And then the last one is the marketing to patients and, showing it to patients. Sometimes offices get really hesitant to, and I hate to use a word because it's got so many bad connotations to it, but sell to their patients. Well, you don't want to think about it as selling to the patient. You're thinking about giving access, right? Affordable access to care to the patient. That's incredibly valuable. Like think about the value of it. So we have some offices that feel like, sometimes that, I'm not going to sell it, right? I'm not going to sell it, quote unquote, to the patient. And we do this through training, right? We say you're not selling, right? You're bringing access to the care that patient wants. And it's an affordable access, which is exactly what they want. So you're bringing value, you're not selling. So that's the last one. So all four of those we see in different flavors, depending on what office and group or DSO we're working with.
Dave, can I add, Devin, can I add to what Dave just said as well?
Absolutely.
So that this conversation around selling is a very interesting thing that you just brought up. So what I think you have to do, it's incumbent upon us as dentists to ask the right questions. And selling is bringing up something that someone clearly does not want. So when you ask your patient, do the front crowns in your mouth bother you? Or does anything bother you about your mouth? Yeah, the crowns in the front bother me. There's gray lines there, because I guess they have metal in them. But my doctor, who I used to go to, told me that they can't, that crowns have to have metal in them. Okay, well, did you know that, we make crowns without metal now? No, I had no idea. Oh my God, I could fix that. That'd be incredible. Or if you ask a patient, what is the reason why you have been gone or you have not been to the dentist in 5 years? Is it fear? Is it financial? What's the reason? Well, yes, it's financial. I don't have insurance. Okay, well, did you know that we have a plan? No, I had no idea. Can you tell me more about that? So we have an obligation to serve our patients, and we have an obligation to figure out what's getting in the way of getting themselves healthy. It may be financial, it may be fear, but all these are questions, and we have to guide our patients to make the right decisions. Because when people buy what we sell, they live healthier, better lives. Dentistry is the epitome of an ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. If they can get their regular dental cleanings, if they have access and they can show up for their appointments and get the treatment they need done, they will have a better life with less morbidity in their mouth. So it's incumbent upon us to really help our patients in any fashion that we can to get the care that we know they need. So I just wanted to kind of speak about the selling thing. We're not we're not doing a service to our patients if we have that limiting belief system that we're selling them something they don't need.
And Craig, you nailed it. It just, and I know I keep going back to data, but I'm a data guy, right? I said I was an engineer in the beginning, so I always go back to data to sort of whatever support, ideas. So just when we did all of our market research prior to starting Clear, there was 3 things uninsured patients related dental care to. And listen to these 3 things. This is the value, right, you're providing to the patients. Number 1 is it impacts my overall health. I'm a healthier person if I have a healthier mouth. Easy one, right? It's like 90-some% of the uninsured patients say that. So they get that. About 80% of them say, I will have a better quality of life if I have a healthy mouth. Think about that. Quality of life, right? My whole life is better. This is huge. And that's getting more and more. You're seeing that more and more, right? And then sort of out there in the marketplace, people talking about it's not just about living longer, it's having a quality of life, right? That is worth living. So that's number 2. Here's the amazing one. 65% of them said, I will live longer if I have a healthy mouth. Live longer, right? I mean, so you've got health, quality of life and living longer, right, as your value props. But their issue, I mentioned this in the very beginning, their issue is they think it's too expensive and I don't have coverage, right? That's the limiting factor in it.
Well, listen, if you can, I love the fact that you have those statistics to back it all up. And a lot of those have been proven, not just in their perception, but in overall longevity studies. So they're not wrong. These patient perceptions are grounded in actual factual data saying that what happens in the mouth doesn't stay there. It migrates through your body. So I think it's really great that you bring all that up. But I think it's really important that patients understand, you said it earlier, that the pricing of dentistry is opaque. And when you confuse, you lose. They don't know, is it 100? Is it 400? Is it 5,000? I'm sure you have statistics to ask to find out what patients think preventative dental care is. They probably think it's thousands of dollars. They never think it's $25, $35, $40 a month. They tell you it's probably $10,000 a year.
Yeah. So the guesses, so we would ask them that question because they would say,
I'm sure you have.
So Craig, they guess 2 to 4 times higher than the price actually is.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a barrier.
Yeah.
So just for people to know that it can be, you can have dental care, which has all the attributes of all the things that you just said at a fixed monthly amount. That's an amazing proposition for people.
I couldn't think of a more perfect way to end and wrap things up of addressing that it's not a gimmick or a trick. It's truly about accessibility and transparency. So thank you both for your time today and covering these myths. I hope those that attended are here with us, take away some new facts and feel better about these myths. If you'd like to learn more about Clear Membercy, please feel free to go ahead and scan the barcode here or reach out to any of us. And I did just want to leave a few minutes too for Dr. Craig to speak on his Bulletproof Summit coming up.
Thank you, guys. So this will be our 7th summit. So at Bulletproof, we believe that every dentist should learn the business skills that our dental schools forgot to teach us. So that it's leading your team or making sound decisions like putting Clear Membercy into your practice. We believe that we want to fill in the gaps and help you learn how to run a more efficient and effective practice and how to lead a team. And the summit is just that. So in dentistry, the dentists go off and learn their dental stuff. Their office managers go off and learn their office manager stuff. Hygiene learns another place and no one's connected. So the Bulletproof Summit was designed to bring everybody together. You come as a dentist with your team, your support team, your hygiene, your office manager, and you learn strategies to implement on Monday. You get that weigh-in and that buy-in that Dave was talking about. So you leave an effective strategy to implement Monday morning. And we actually have a 10x money back guarantee. So if you don't produce 10 times more than you spent at the summit, we'll give you all your money back. We're that confident. So registration's going quick. It is the beautiful Ritz-Carlton in Orlando. Don't be scared about Ritz. We negotiated like a $200 rate. So Dave, you should come down, bring your family, have an excuse to go to the Ritz-Carlton for $200 something a night. And we'll see you all there.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Craig. It sounds like a great event and a great experience. Thank you all again for joining us. The recording will get to your inboxes within the next 24 hours. And have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.